Hello, everybody. It's me again, and this is the last video we're going to cover about CoreData, which allow you to do search. All right. Let me show you the different ways you can do search. I'm going to show you two ways and an example that I've done earlier, and I'm going to run it. All right. In this example, I have actually used two ways to do the searching. One way, which is the proper way of doing it, you use a search bar and a search display. To cover this in this video, it will take a while, okay, because this is a separate topic by itself. So I'm not going to cover it in this video, all right? But the way it works, you type in one letter, okay, you type in, for example, letter O, then it'll give you the value that you're looking for, okay? The other way that we're gonna probably cover in this video, which is you display an alert view controller, you type in the value, and then you do search, okay? This is easier in a way because I already covered it in the previous video, but in the future videos, I'll show you this, how to use the search bar and search display controller, okay? So let's go back to the exercise that we've been working with. Here is my exercise, which is called Store Data Video here. Okay, what do I have here? If you look at the storyboard, all I did in the storyboard, I added a bar button item on the screen here. And then I changed, so all you do is drag it and drop it on in the navigation bar. And then here you change it to search. And this one is tied to an IB action, search records, IB action in my view controller. So if you table view controller, so if you look in here, this is the search, this is the method that is being called, or the function that's being called when I click on this. Okay, so let's take a look at this method first. In this method, what do I have? I have the alert view that I did in the previous video. So I'm going to just explain it and then briefly, because we already covered it. So we create an alert view controller. We add the text field which we want to search, which is the store name. We add an alert action, which is a button. When you click on that button, which is the OK button, we get the name. We call a function called filter search. All right. This function I've created, and it has you pass to it store name and the text, and then finally you dismiss the controller. Let me show you this function briefly. This function right now does nothing. All it does is that receives the value that you pass to it. What we're going to do in this function, we get the value, run the query, and reload the data. Okay, we'll get back to this. This is really the main topic of this video. All right. Let's continue here. I add the action to the controller. I have a cancel button, so we don't do the search. And then I have I present the controller. This we've covered already in the previous video. So if you need more details, go back to the previous video, and then it shows you how to do this. Okay, now let's take a look at this filter. Now, when you use searching, if you're familiar with database queries, any type of queries, the only difference between regular, queries without what we call in SQL, without a condition or a where clause, and one without where clause, is that one give you all the records. If you say, like, if you're familiar with SQL, say select star from customers, that will give you all the customers. But if you say select star from customers where customer ID equal 123, then you're looking for a particular record. So you added the where clause, all right? And same thing, it works with CoreData. It's a little bit different than what you've seen if you're familiar with SQL. It's a little bit different, but let's take a look at it. So as I said, it is, if you go back to the view.did.load method, which we've done earlier, in the view.did.load method, or view will appear, in the view will appear method, what I've done here, we created the request, we run the request, we get the data, and then we refresh the data. All right, well, I'm going to go do the same thing here. I'm going to copy this and go back to the search filter stores, and then copy it in here. And I'll show you how we modify this. So this is we already explained in details previously. Okay, so what is the difference between this and that? Now I have to use what we call predicate. Command X. Okay, I'm going to copy Command X here, and then we'll add it in here before we execute the query. What does this do? A predicate is basically a where clause in SQL. So all I'm saying is that we're defining an object, predicate. The type of that object is called NS predicate, and says you need to give it what are you searching for. The format is like you're formatting a text. You put the name of the field first, the field coming from the class definition. Remember the class definition here? We have store Swift, and then I have S name. Okay, so I'm searching on this field, S name. You can search on any of these fields, of course, not image, but any of those fields. Okay, so if you go back to the previous screen, so I'm saying if the name contains, this will be, if you're coming from Xcode, Objective-C, this would be replaced by the value that you have in this variable. So whatever I pass to it will be passed and added to this query string. Okay, so it will say sname contains store 1, store 2, whatever, right? So this is your query clause. Now you add your query to the request, okay? And this is the code to do that. So say Command X, you will put it here, and say request predicate equal the predicate that you've just created. I'll cover this in the last one here later on. Let's test it and see what happens. So if I run it, I will get the alert view controller. So I have one called FF, one ABC3, and so forth. If I click on this, if I search for the letters FF here, and I click on search, watch what's going to happen. It will give me that record only. All right. If I search for something that does not exist, it would get an empty. Oh, well, we have some that exist. Okay, let's put something else. I will get empty table. All right. So that is how we do the search. Okay. All right. When you click on it, you still get the same data. All right. Now, this is just to show you how we run predicate against CoreData. You could have done this in many different ways. Okay. Now you can say if you can't find record, you can, if store is empty, if you say store is null, you can put a message saying, or the count is 0. You can say, you display a message saying, alert, no record, no record found. Okay, so this is one. So you have a predicate. You can have numbers here. You can say if it is a number greater than, less than, and it has to be a string here because you're actually, all you're doing is formatting a string. You don't put like the, at the end it has to be a string, okay? Like your regular, you need to format a string, okay? So you say greater than, less than, equal. You could say, for example, if you're looking for a particular value, contains mean if it has any value, okay? If you say equal, it will be looking for a specific value. Okay, if it was a number, it will say greater than, less than, greater than or equal any of these value, or you can say not equal if it was not equal, if it's not equal to a particular value. Okay, so that's why if you say contain for string, it makes sense to use strings, right? Why? Because you don't know the spelling, and then another option, maybe you need to look at how you ignore maybe uppercase and lowercase. Okay, so you can do that in here. The last part I'm going to show you here, there is sometimes you want to run, let me just call this predicate 1. Okay, sometimes you want to run multiple conditions, so multiple predicates, and the way it works, you will create multiple predicates, so like predicate 1, predicate 2, predicate 3, whatever, right, over different fields or maybe the same field, and then you can tell it, you combine them together like in an array, you create what we call compound predicate. I'm just going to make it so it doesn't have errors here to show you. Okay, you get compound predicate. What is compound predicate? It means it's as the name suggests, you have multiple predicates. So you'll say here the type, and then you put all your predicate in an array. So if you have 2, you will put them like this. 3, you will put them like this. Then you can say, you need to say one more thing here. What type of, how are you joining these compound predicates, all these predicates together? Well, you have several options. One is called OR type, predicate type, not predicate type. Sorry, this is and predicate type, not predicate type, and or predicate type. If you're familiar with logic or any programming, and means that all conditions has to be true. Not means not this, the opposite of what that condition is. And or means any of these conditions true. All right. So if I say or, what happens now, it says if this condition is true, or this condition is true, display the result. All right. So that's how you do compound predicate. All right. And instead of request.predicate equal predicate, here you will put the name of the compound predicate. All right. This is a simple, probably easy way of searching records in CoreData. You can do a lot more complex stuff, but for the most part, this should be more than enough. Okay, you're not really running complex queries. You could if you want, but you follow the same thing that I explained in here. All right. This is the end of this video and the end of CoreData, and I will see you in the next series of videos. Most likely, we will do geolocation and core location in iOS 8, and how to use the same example. Remember, we have a store here. How we use this latitude and longitude to save the store location, and we add them to a map. All right. All right. I'll see you in the next video.